It's been a while since I made a video, and as you can see, I made these two hoses. You probably saw them in my old video. What else? I put in a fan shroud. Okay, got an original fan shroud, painted it up, a little tweaked. I had to bend it up a little bit. I made this line recently because the original line, well, it wasn't the original, somebody else did it, and then they mounted it with the original thing here, which was just steel on these lines, and the vinyl that was on that thing was kind of hanging on it. But they don't make them with just a regular flare, and I was wondering, do I flare it? But they make these adapters, so I got the nice, line here, because it was kind of like, they couldn't bend it right, so it was like draped over the battery over this corner. So that was a pain, but I have a little adapter in there that goes from O-ring to flare, and this one goes from flare to it just goes. It's that one is male, so it went direct. There was actually a union here, like a Home Depot union, like for an oven, in there, and then this one here has basically what was coming out of the Home Depot one, because ultimately what they had here was just female to female. They only make this line in the aluminum male to female. So this is the female side, so I had to convert the male threads to a female, or to a male O-ring, and then here I just had to put the little adapter. It basically is like it's a little head of a dick. So that's what it looks like. It's got these guys here. They only make them in for number 8 or for number 10. Now something tells me, because it came with an extra O-ring in here that was smaller. There's 2 larger O-rings for each one, and then there's 1 small O-ring, so I don't know if that's just a mistake or if somehow it can fit inside of a number 6 somehow. And like the other one that's a number 8, that was way too big. I already had those. I had to order these. 16748. I believe the other one is 16749 for those. So you put them on the new lines on the male side to go here for female, or you could put them on the female side, I guess. Depends what you have. I used this one here that I got off Rock Auto. I didn't want to drill any holes, so I just used the existing bolt hole. And I put a nut at the end of the bolt, a longer bolt, because I had this universal strap here, so it looks factory enough. I had to tweak all this. This was so kinked, and there was nothing. All these brackets were not in. I don't know did I tighten that one? Yeah, I tightened all of them. I had to make something with this. I just put a nut, because for some reason they have the bolts coming this way. I would have to take out the whole radiator to do it. So that was quite a pain. So now I did all the brake lines, all the brakes, converted it to disc. I converted it to disc. Got my proportioning valve in and everything. You see I got all the rust-free lines here. And you can see I have this out, and I have holes drilled here. That's because the original thing, this was the whole problem with her brakes. The whole problem with her brakes was the original power booster. This goes on here. I just was using it as I thought I was using it as a template to see how far off it was from this universal GM style. And I'm like, I couldn't take it anymore, and I told her, I said, listen, brakes are more important, because I did everything over. I got the brand new master cylinder, even though her master cylinder wasn't that old, the same style right there, the big 4-bolt, and I'm just like, you know what, I got to go with what works, Worst case scenario, it could be, brought back to this, because there's this plate here, you can always find these plates, but this is what I had to do. I had to overlap the holes, because it's tighter in, but they're wider going out, so there's like 2 different angles. It's a lot of fun trying to drill it out. And then this here takes off does the brake lights. So I got to make something with that. I have a kit somewhere that has the different threads for this, and hopefully it'll go. I have it set up that it'll go right in. But once I test fit it in, see how this one is? It starts to taper much faster. Where this one, it actually comes out more, but the total depth is the same, but it's more square as far as round, like it comes out to here. So I figured that would be a problem with the valve covers. So I ended up painting the valve cover, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to bother doing the other side. But then I said, nah, It's not that bad. I'll just do the other side. And after all, I got brand new gaskets. I had gaskets in the back of this Dodge Charger I have here. And they're the rubber gaskets that were metal inserts. I'm like, no problem. So I started taking it apart. That's the gasket. This one here just broke. That one was actually, this one side was not really leaking. But guess what? On this car, you can't take it off. So, yeah, Spaghetti Freddy with the wires. I just didn't want them to touch each other. But for some reason, on this side, they were the normal length. And then on the other side, they were like tremendously long. And I didn't want the overhang to be by the steering and everything over there. So I kind of routed them like this and used these little guys here.
Where do you want me to put this car?
Hang on.
Put on the road till December.
Making a video. Just hang on. Give me a minute.
Well, I'm going to leave, so.
Okay.
We'll discuss it. It's on your way for right now, right?
No, maybe we just straighten it out a little bit, but whatever. We'll figure out a way to.
It's on your way for like the next day or two.
No.
Okay. So
No, I'm going. I'll be going to work this week. I'll be here tomorrow for a little while, and then you may not. I'll be around like Wednesday or Thursday, something, but nothing crazy. Thank you. See you later. Anyway, my neighbor, we share yard space. Anywho, what was I saying? So I couldn't get this valve cover off. It physically does not come out. And I tried loosening the transmission mount to tilt it down. And the thing is that this has a Flowmaster exhaust system, and all the pipes are very rigid. So, you know, there's an X pipe in the middle. I'm like, I would have to undo so much. I said, fuck it. I very carefully took off the gasket and I fished it in there, and I put right stuff on it, and I was able to get it on. So hopefully that's okay. But so far so good. But ultimately, yeah, what was happening with this is that the you would hit the brake and it would kind of dip, and then it would dip again. And I'm like, this is a bad master. When I first took this all apart, I'm like, listen, the master's bad, the drums are warped, it messed up the master cylinder, that makes sense, you know. So I got another master cylinder. So I did all the brakes over, the rear brakes and all new front brakes. I don't know if I could find that video. I did take a video, but I've been very bad with posting anything on YouTube right now, so I will try to find that and combine it with this. You know, ultimately, it's got to be the booster. There's nothing else going to be. And it's such a weird feel. It makes me feel like it went bad in a weird way, or maybe they didn't rebuild it right. That was like a year ago. She's been dealing with bad brakes for so long. It's not even funny. It always says that weird spongy pedal, but it's not air. Now, I bought some stock here because, you know, the original rims, when you do a brake conversion, well, one thing is a problem is that I had to put a spacer. The rims are weird where they bulk out at the, not where the flange is, where it mounts. It's one thing, but it hits the rest of the rim. So I basically had to put things. I'll probably take another video and add it to this. But I had my friend make these. So, because here's the thing, it's very wide, the rim, so you got to have something it'll go on. You can't just, because even the guy who did the brake conversion, he was just like, yeah, we usually just tighten the lug nuts and send it home. I'm like, that's a lot to be putting shear strength on the lug nuts. It's not really supposed to happen. It looks like the lug nuts are just long enough with this, but basically the spacer, and then we put this in there. That'll cover that, and this is the inside of the rotor where it should fit straight on the rotor there with all the video. And I pretty much brought him over a rotor, and we measured it. He wanted me to take back the rotor though, so he knew what he had to do. So this part was no problem. We tested this over the rotor, because basically this thing here, you know, why drill the whole thing out to 3.06 when this is like 270, 267 or something like that, and it misses the rotor, you know. I don't want it to rust to the rotor or corrode, so I'm going to put some lube on there or something like that, but that's going to be correct. Whether or not the lugs need to be longer, that's another story. A lot of snafus on the way here. Valve covers really screwed me up today, because the valve cover gaskets that I had ends up being the newer big blocks. They have 6 bolts. So I had it for this motor eventually that I'll get to. And unfortunately, you know, that's it. You know, I had to wait. I had to go to Timbuktu on a Sunday to an AutoZone that was like a hub store, so I can get the thing. So now I'm going to put in the booster. I believe it should be, you know, no problem. I know these boosters work. The GM boosters are superior. I'm sorry for anybody who's a Mopar fan, but Mopar has been making crappy, boosters for a long time, and they, it's even worse for rebuilding, because I've had even the ones in the 70s, because my car is a 1970, and the only one I knew was like a 73, so I ordered a 73 for my old Valiant, because I converted that to power brakes, and I ended up having a lot of problems. I had a lot of problems before with somebody else's 73, and it's just the way they rebuild them. I think they call it a Midland one or something like that. I have no idea. Or this is the Midland one, and the other one is something else. I think this is a Bendix, and the other one is Midland. And then there's another one. Like they actually sell these as an aftermarket, but it's for like that car, that 73, or I think they say it fits it, but initially it's listed as 66 to 70, and it looks just like this, and it's probably a good thing. For $250, it's probably worth it. But this is $140. Had to drill some holes. Yeah, it's not original, but honestly, brakes don't matter. The car's not original anyway at this point. But I'd rather have the car stop better. It's really a sin how bad all this is. So the end result is that the one for the other body, it doesn't have this anyway, and it's considerably shorter. With this one here, I bought it for less money, and it has a much longer thing, and it still needs more to go, because I got to put the thing on it, and then I got to devise something for this thing to turn off the brake light, or I got to just change up the switch. So I think it'll be okay. I sure hope, this longer one that I bought is not too long, but I don't think so. There's a kit I got with a bunch of things on it. I just got to find it. I don't even know if this actually adjusts anymore. I think this just rolls. Yeah. Alright. So, we'll find out, but this is basically one you'd use for a truck, and this thing here is just so much longer. When you look at it, look at the profile. That's just retarded. And like I said, this one is long. Because usually they're not that long. I don't care what anybody says. But, and I was looking at a bunch of pictures of the Cardone ones on Rock Auto, and they all look like they're, much, much shorter. I mean, this whole contraption is shorter, and it's not a lot there. So, that, like this hole is pretty much right here, and an inch makes a difference, so, but yeah, I kind of didn't want to buy a short one, and this is cheaper. Being that I'm kind of rigging it, I basically wanted to get something cheap, and then I got the Corvette Master Cylinder, which, thank God, the Corvette Master Cylinder versus the regular GM Master Cylinders, the ports are switched as far as thread size. So since I did this port size, ended up being the Mopar one is in the same place as the Corvette one, so that's going to work out. So there's a lot of little things, and this car's been crazy. I really haven't had a lot of time. I had done the whole front end on this car, and the brakes were an issue. It really wasn't that bad with the conversion. It was just waiting for it, and then once I was ready to get the car out, the wheels didn't fit, and I got cheap spacers on it right now. I bought 1/4-inch spacers, thinking that maybe I can get away with a 1/4-inch, but I started grinding the caliper on this side. I'm starting to grind so much, and I'm like, fuck this, I gotta get something. So I think the spacer will work out, as I have 2 1/4-inch spacers there. This thing is supposed to, they say it's listed as 1/2 inch or 12 millimeter, which, it's not quite, but not off by a lot. So it should be fine. I don't think it, I think it's a good medium. And it's a billet steel. The other one's like cast aluminum, and it feels funny even tightening the lug nuts. Like, I wouldn't feel safe, tightening them up. But basically, the brakes on this car are off of a 96 to 99 Dodge 1500 two-wheel drive truck. So pretty rarely available. I got universal 20 or 22 inch long brake hoses, and that's it so far. So I finally got this car out of here. Of course, I got another mess. A lot of things to take care of. I worked on a bunch of cars since then, like regular shit. A lot of stuff that I didn't feel like doing. And as you can see, I'm getting a mess again, and this is not good. And more shit is just piling up my 40s car, which I'd love to have running eventually. This is, basically the only two pieces. These two little boxes were for this car. This is all for my It's basically for my Ford Taurus and my 85 Chevy Celebrity and my 2012 Hyundai. I got the master cylinder in here, and once I bolt this all up, hopefully today, I'll get the master in. Hopefully I'll find that kit with the thing to, you know, the rod kit. You know, hopefully one of them will fit, and this car will stop, because it was a sin at doing all this work. And you know, granted, I think it's a good investment to put, but ultimately the problem was the fucking booster. You know, and the girl has a 59 Imperial, but it has that old, like, diaphragm thing that sits on top of the master cylinder, and the master cylinder still bolts to the wall. It's a really weird setup. But those always work, and they're made by Kelsey Hayes, but these that are made by Mopar, they're really not that good. And if they're good, somebody's not rebuilding them right. There's something inherently wrong that people don't see, but there's something definitely wrong with this one. So I'm going to cry, though, if this one does the same thing, because it shouldn't. I believe it's all in the booster. You know, it doesn't make sense otherwise. And you know, we'll take it from there, and hopefully this will all go together well, and the car will be able to stop, and then I can send it for a wheel alignment, charge the AC, and send it on its way, because I'm pretty much done. I just added valve covers to that, so tune up, brakes. Fucking 4 months to do this. Tune up, brakes, AC work. And brakes is a big statement, though. It's a lot to have a life otherwise, and have other things to work on in between. It's not easy, and nobody does what I want to do. Nobody does the things that I do. And the girl wanted a lot of things original, and I'm like, it's very hard to do things original when you're dealing with certain things and having to wait for things to come in for this car. I can't imagine getting this thing rebuilt again and doing the same thing. I'd rather start with that one, and it'll be for the better. Because I'm going to be honest with you, some cars, they make them better. This is why all the you know, these aftermarket ones, they're all GM style, because they're superior. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. And wouldn't you rather stop at, you know? So to me, that doesn't, you know, that doesn't earn you points. I mean, she's using it in movies too. So then she's going to take it to Florida. She's going to move down there permanently, probably. Anyway, so she wanted me to do all this work to it, and hopefully all this with the brake stays fixed and it works like I intend. And I guess, like I said, I got to get a wheel alignment because the car will be all over the road. But I drove it a little bit, and it feels so solid despite the wheels being like totally off, you know. So I got to clean up. I got to put this brake thing in before it gets dark, and I'm going to try to find the old videos that I had made originally when I was doing the brakes, and try to put them together with this video. All right. Thanks for watching. Hopefully there's another part of this video. Look at this. Looks like something actually is going to fit. Now this guy here, you can see that it's off kilter. And that's because when I put my tool in to pop it out, this guy over here, one of these things, you know, it makes it easy to take out. When I did this side, it came right out. And then you can see there's play in the pitman arm, which I wasn't even counting on. But there's definitely play. I was saying that I was playing in the steering box, and there might still be, but that definitely has play. It's supposed to rotate like on a solid axis here, but it actually is wobbling back and forth. This one here, it's physically sticking out further, like if I tapped it in, but it's stuck on a thing now because I used the tool to take it out. It kind of got stuck there. So it's tight again, but it's, you know, it's not right by any means. So this is going to fit without an issue. And then once I get these, you know, these guys off, then I can properly test the other joints, you know, to see how bad they really are. So that's a good thing. Still waiting on other parts, and the upper bushings are going to be a pain. But I have a source. It's just that they're on vacation. I got to wait a little bit. So so far so good. Taking longer than I'd like, but you know, it is what it is. Well, I did manage to accomplish something today. Oh, nice if I turn on the key. All right, the trick with this, I got them all to work. My phone is messed up, so I can't go too long. But there's this thing here that has two little holes in it that kind of go in a fan. You know, one goes one way, one goes the other way. And if you go a little too crazy, it'll go over the car. But when you turn this, it actually unscrews here. So one of them, that one was clogged over there, so I had to clean it out. That was no big deal. But then you turn it and to go up and down to get it more on the windshield. And it's kind of crazy. Of course, all these happens to all of my cars too, all these windshield wipers, because these things are so heavy and spring-loaded, and the plastic is made in China, it just bends. It just conforms to the sun, you know, and it melts. So other than that, which somebody didn't even put this wiper on correctly, or that one for that matter. So I mean, it really wants to go down there. So it was, you know, all this pressure. You put it up there, it has pressure on it, and then you mess up the wiper blade anyway. But I got wiper blades that just sit there in the sun and they melt. They're practically flat onto the windshield. Let's see. If I put the key on, oh, it's on. Put the wipers on. Oh, that's right. I got no more fluid left. All right, you got the idea. It's wiping clean though. Just to show you, this is a 20-inch brake hose. And I'm gonna go on this side. I haven't put on the tie rod yet, but I'll show you in a second. That's like that universal one that has a very small banjo, so you can rotate it 360 degrees. So you could probably go smaller. I think you can go 18, you know, but the other ones that were 18 or whatever, they come perpendicular to this. So being that this is the smaller banjo, I can go, you know, I can flex it all the way around and make it convenient to place this. But just to show you from here, hose doesn't touch anywhere, and this is never going to turn this far.